Welcome back, everybody. It's Andrew here. We have huge updates from Nancy Pelosi herself regarding the next stimulus package, as she thinks that there is a deal that can still be made with Joe Manchin to get the stimulus package done and hopefully include the stimulus check for seniors in that package as well. Of course, Bernie Sanders is trying to include that stimulus check for seniors in this stimulus package. Now, we also have updates showing that the economy is at risk with the pandemic getting worse once again, and Congress is considering approving even more direct stimulus payments. So let's discuss all of this in this video, but before we jump into it, do me a quick favor, hit like, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. This is a community for seniors, and my job here is to be a voice for you and be a voice for seniors to make sure President Biden keeps his promise to increase Social Security benefits, increase SSI and SSDI, and even approve a stimulus check for seniors in this next stimulus package. So thank you so much for being a part of our community, and if you really want to support our work, consider subscribing to my second channel and becoming a member of this channel. The link to both of those things are going to be in the comments of this video. So let's jump right into it, folks. We're going to talk about the specific updates from Nancy Pelosi, the fact that she is saying that there should be a deal possible with Joe Manchin regarding the next stimulus package, Bernie Sanders trying to include at least a $1,000 check for seniors, hopefully $2,000. So we're going to talk about all of that in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stick around for that. But first, there are new reports coming out that Congress is considering doing more stimulus payments because the economy is at risk with this new variant raging through the economy and restaurants potentially shutting down, schools shutting down already. Things are getting really out of control. So this headline is titled, Congress is weighing a fresh stimulus package for restaurants and other businesses as Omicron rages. Now, the first thing I want to point out here is that there are businesses already partially shutting down. Some cities are limiting the amount of people that can go into the restaurants. And I live in Chicago, and we already have rumors circulating that our mayor is going to be putting limitations like this once again. And not just limitations that are being enforced, but the American people, quite frankly, again, are not feeling as safe going out to restaurants, going out to travel, things like that. So the government, it's been confirmed. President Biden, Democrats, even some Republicans are considering the idea that maybe we're going to need more stimulus. Beyond just this one stimulus check for seniors, we might need something similar to the first three stimulus checks, things like PPP to help businesses keep running, pay their employees, things like a fourth nationwide stimulus check. These things are all being talked about in the background. Now, of course, all of this is happening as Democrats are trying to control inflation. Republicans are slamming Democrats, saying that stimulus is causing the inflation. But of course, we know that the majority of this inflation was caused from closing the economy and then reopening it all at once, right? So the good news is we do have Democrats, it's confirmed, considering more stimulus because of the effects that this variant is going to have on the economy. Now, lawmakers are mulling a proposal to pump billions of dollars into restaurants. The Washington Post first reported on early talks between senators on both sides of the aisle. So it's not just Democrats. Republicans are considering this as well. And currently, the conversation is mostly focusing on restaurants. So these sectors that would be hit the hardest if the pandemic continues to get worse once again, like it's currently doing. But with the conversation once again shifting towards stimulus being more realistic, shifting towards, hey, even Republicans are saying, maybe we should give some stimulus to restaurants. Maybe we should give some stimulus to some companies. That is shifting the conversation back towards the side of, you know what? We might need more stimulus in general for this country, as folks, we are still in the middle of this pandemic. If anything, it's honestly, based off of statistics, it's actually as bad as it's ever been and heading towards getting even worse. So kind of the weird part is as the economy gets worse and the pandemic gets worse, then the conversation around stimulus actually gets better. So take that for what you will, but things are currently tilting in the right direction when it comes to stimulus. Not only businesses, but schools are being affected by this as well. Now, my home city of Chicago, which is where I live now, they are actually completely closing down public schools because teachers are refusing to work in person because the pandemic is getting worse. So remember, guys, children staying home from school was one of the main reasons we needed stimulus. We needed the unemployment stimulus so parents could stay home with their kids and still make money. We needed things like childcare stimulus, the monthly child credit stimulus, even the stimulus checks in general, which helped people pay for childcare and things like that while their kids weren't in school. Well, this is becoming more of a possibility once again, especially when you take into account that Chicago Public School District is the third largest school district in the entire country. And until further notice, these schools are going to be shut down. Now, to give you a quick recap on this, the union here for teachers in Chicago actually decided that because of the pandemic getting worse, it's not safe enough to work in person, so they opted to work remotely. Then the superintendent of the Chicago Public School District is not actually allowing them to work remotely, kind of putting his foot down, saying, you know what, we want you guys to work in person. The White House wants you to work in person, but the teachers union is going against this. So with teachers saying they're not going to work in person in Chicago, then the superintendent saying, well, we're not going to let you work remotely, that ended up putting them in a situation where the school district completely shut down. And this happened just a few days ago, so we're not sure how long this is going to last. But with Chicago being one of the biggest school districts in the country, this could set a precedent where other districts start doing this as well. And again, puts us in a situation where we might need more stimulus because businesses are shutting down. Businesses are going to have limited capacity rules like we did last year. And then we have things like schools shutting down, which is going to put parents in a position where they need more stimulus as well. So this is where Nancy Pelosi comes in, folks. And she said that there should be an agreement to be made with Joe Manchin. It's just a matter of figuring out what exactly needs to be done. So in this clip, Nancy Pelosi held an interview just this morning talking about the stimulus package, the fact that the government not only has to get the stimulus package done, but they also have to readdress the government funding bill to avoid a government shutdown. Remember, that was extended until February, so they have just a few weeks to address that once again. And she was asked whether or not Democrats could include stimulus funding in that package. She quickly said no, it has to be included in the stimulus package because they have to use budget reconciliation. She addressed the fact that the pandemic continues to get worse and more stimulus needs to be put back on the table once again. She thinks there is a deal to be made with Joe Manchin, but she's also concerned on things like changing voting laws, changing immigration laws, as well as focusing on the midterm elections coming up in November because Democrats are at risk of losing control of both the House and the Senate, which would leave Joe Biden as a sitting duck for his last 2 years in office. So this is a huge update from Nancy Pelosi, folks. She truly believes there's going to be a deal to be made with Joe Manchin, especially with the pandemic now getting worse. In this clip, she's going to address all of these issues. The fact that the government funding bill needs to be done in the next few weeks as well. They're going to continue to push forward to try and get the stimulus package done, as well as address things like voting rights and the elections coming up in November, at which point Democrats could either maintain control of Congress or lose control, which again would put us in an even more difficult situation when it comes to getting more stimulus done going forward. So folks, this is a really important update from Nancy Pelosi. Please stick around. Let's take a look, see exactly what she had to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and tomorrow I should have a follow-up video where I dissect every single thing Nancy Pelosi says and what we expect to happen next when it comes to the next stimulus package and stimulus checks for seniors being included in that package as well. And of course, now we should have more updates regarding the potential of a nationwide fourth stimulus check as Congress is considering doing more stimulus as the pandemic is now getting worse. So stick around for this clip. Nancy Pelosi has some huge updates. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.
Well, Senator Manchin has made clear it's not possible at this point. It sounds like you are trying to revive those talks. Where is that? Have you spoken to the senator?
Well, I have spoken to the senator over time. I do think there's an agreement to be reached. It's so important for our country.
No better guest than the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Good morning to you, Madam Speaker.
Good morning. Good morning to you, and Happy New Year.
A Happy New Year. I don't think any of us wanted to start with this Omicron surge that we are seeing happen. And I know in Congress you are seeing infection spike as well. N95 masks now being given to staff. How will this surge impact the work that you are able to do in the coming weeks?
Well, before I go into that, I just want to say that I come here on this Sunday morning, fresh from the service, celebrating the life of Majority Leader Harry Reid. Two presidents of the United States spoke, the leadership of the Congress, the vice president was there, governors, everyone. But nothing was as eloquent than the voices of his children who spoke about their father. So being here on the Senate side, I have to begin by praising and remembering Harry Reid. COVID is the center of it all. It's about the health of the American people, of course, but it's also about its impact on our economy, the education of our children, the safety of everyone at work or in school. I look forward to our taking advantage of advances in science on this, that there is a pill that will be able to intervene in early stages, and we want to have the resources available to do that. The issues before the Supreme Court will be very important. Two cases there, one about healthcare workers, one about the president's mandate for going beyond healthcare workers. So there's a good deal, whether it's legislation for more resources, whether it's the court's decision and the rest. And also it's just about our own taking personal responsibility to stay safe.
When you say legislation for more resources, $6 trillion has already been spent over the course of this, been allocated over the course of this pandemic. Are you saying that you need more coronavirus relief, and will that go in the spending bill when government funding runs out next month?
Well, again, we have to protect the investment. It's there. Most importantly, we have to protect the health of the American people. Now, the administration has not made a formal request for more funding, but it is clear from the opportunity that is there and again, the challenge that is there from the resilience of this virus. And viruses the more they spread, they are transmitted, the more they mutate. So the good advice for everyone to get vaccinated, to be masked, to have spatial distancing, and the rest, and to be tested, continue to be important.
When you have this government funding deadline, the February 18th, I believe it is,
yes,
you have that opportunity to bundle together perhaps some other things here. Will you try to extend the child care tax credit at that time, since it has expired?
Well, that's a different bill. That is in the Build Back Better legislation. In the appropriations bill, which is to keep government open, we are in those negotiations now under leadership in our House of Rosa DeLauro, our distinguished chair of the Appropriations Committee, and we must find a solution. Now, I'm an appropriator. That's my culture in Congress, appropriations and intelligence, and I believe that left to their own devices on both sides of the aisle, the appropriators can get the job done. Something like additional funding can be in there. It can be fenced off for emergency, as would be COVID.
Right.
The child tax credit, we have to have that fight, that discussion in the Build Back Better legislation.
So you won't be pulling that out as any kind of standalone or any kind of attachment at this point?
Well, I would hope to, but in order to do this, in order to pass the Build Back Better, it's under reconciliation. We only need 51 votes. The bill that is the appropriations bill requires 60 votes in the Senate. So we have to do what is possible there.
Right. Well, Senator Manchin has made clear it's not possible at this point. It sounds like you are trying to revive those talks. Where is that? Have you spoken to the senator?
Well, I have spoken to the senator over time. I do think there's an agreement to be reached. It's so important for our country. Whether we're talking about right now the need for childcare for moms and dads whose children may or may not be in school. Childcare is so important all the time, more important even now when we're talking about universal pre-K and childcare. We're talking about the child tax credit. We're talking about home health care.
Right.
All of those things. Expand the Affordable Care Act to include those who were not expanded under Medicaid in some of those states. But in addition to that, we see weather, and that weather is telling us that we must do what is in the bill to address the climate crisis, which is causing so many unusual natural disasters, not all of them from climate, but exacerbated by it.
Well,